All right, I've got a little bit past 8 o'clock. Chairman Knight's not here, so I'll step in and chair the Valorem Subcommittee. But let's just open with a quick word of prayer. Gracious Father, thank you for the gift of this morning, Lord. Just pray that you bless our families, bless the work we're trying to do. May everything be good and pleasing in your sight. In Christ's name, amen. So we have House Bill 575 by Chairman Dickey. If you'd like to present the measure and walk us through it, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. Chairman Knight's down in our appropriations meeting right now.
Okay.
HB 575, LC 441670, and I will tell you right off, I'm waiting on a sub for this. It's being drawn up, hopefully, as we speak. That will kind of narrow it down just a little bit. But the reason for this bill is, as many of you know, during this COVID time, a lot of farms and producers have taken the opportunity to direct market the crops they raise to consumers. Consumers come to the farms and so farmers trying to take advantage of a little more value added for the products they do grow and be able to sell directly to consumers. And just out of some concern that some local county governments might see that in a different light under their CUVA agreements that they would have their farm under. And as you can see down in lines 14 and 15, it's CUVA, raising, harvesting, storing crops, feeding, breeding, managing livestock, those type things. It's really to production the formal bill speaks to, but then we tried to capture it down in line 23 and 24 this other activity that I'm talking about that would not throw them out of that CUVA if they did want to direct market or value add to the crops that they were growing. And so that's where we grabbed these code sections, and they're simply these are code sections the Department of Ag currently inspect and do. And one of them's meat, one of them's milk, one of them's egg, and the first one is food sales establishment, where we're trying to capture a little commercial kitchen or something that a farm might have to further enhance the products they do. And so I think a little bit of a concern was that got a little too broad. And so we've got some language coming to narrow that, try to narrow that down.
Specifically in lines 23 and 24.
Yes.
Well, do we have any questions from members of the committee about the intent or purpose of the bill? Because I was just thinking maybe with the chairman's pleasure, if we know that we're just tightening it down, but we want the overarching purpose to be met, we could consider moving it on to big committee and feedback here.
Can you turn volume down on the thing?
Well, anyhow, any committee members have questions of Chairman Dickey? So you walked in late, but
no, I'm fine. I was just
Okay.
is your suggestion, Mr. Chairman, that we move the bill as is here, and then if the chair would make his amendment in full committee?
with the chairs, okay, that was my intention, to just get it moving.
I actually had the discussion with Chairman Dickey prior to, and he has that substitute language ready. And I think if you presented basically what the substitute language is going to look like, and if we pass this as is and you bring the substitute to full committee, I think we could entertain that there.
Well, thank you. I would appreciate that consideration.
That was my question, Mr. Chairman. If he had the language, we could amend here and create a sub for full committee, or if the chair wanted to do it in full committee. I'm just asking your operational.
Right, but
I
understand
just
you
don't have language, but I have it's the language from ACCG and Georgia Farm Bureau that we discussed yesterday afternoon, but just leg council has not.
And this is an important measure.
Yeah.
For our ag.
I didn't realize it, but ACCG is via Zoom dialing in. So who's on with ACCG?
It's Larry.
Mr. Ramsey, can you hear us? If
Ramsey.
you if you can you weigh in on this issue?
I can, and just briefly, Mr. Chairman, thank you to Chairman Dickey. We are working with him and the Department of Agriculture about trying to tighten this language up, and look forward to seeing the sub, and really appreciate the committee's consideration of our suggestions that I understand will be forthcoming.
Do any members of the committee have any questions for Mr. Ramsey? So
Ready for a motion if you
okay.
are, Mr. Chairman.
Now'd be the time.
I move that we do pass to full committee LC 44-1670, House Bill 575.
Any further discussion?
Second. Further discussion?
Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. We'll be looking forward to getting, I know you'll be getting that tightened language up to Chairman Blackman, and we'll let him take it up full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, what's next? 451. Who's carrying that? Okay. Hey, Chairman. Understand you have House Bill 451.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bring to you House Bill 451, LC 431820ER. This is the same bill that I presented to you when we met previously. This bill comes as a request from the Georgia Manufacturers Association. It provides for an optional determination by a taxpayer of the fair market value applicable to inventory for which a level 1 Freeport exemption is sought. This only applies to eligible finished goods inventory for the year 2021 and bases evaluation on the fair market value of applicable inventory as of January the 1st, 2020, or the fair market value of applicable inventory as of January the 1st, 2021. I gave you background on that the other day. I'll be glad to rehearse that again for you if there is someone here who may not be familiar, but I believe you have a understanding of what that bill does. So if you will give us direction, I'll be glad to answer any questions. And I also believe Mr. Roy Bowen, who is the one that brought the issue to me, is online.
First of all, are there any questions from members of the committee of the author? Hearing none, if Mr. Bowen would like to, he's not on. What other members of the?
And I received, we have had discussions with ACCG and GMA, and we received, I received a text from Mr. Bowen this morning saying that they had confirmed that they were supportive.
That ACCG is?
That was a text that I received from him, yes.
Is it Mr. Ramsey with ACCG? Mr. Ramsey, could you educate the committee on the discussions that you've had, and discuss your confidence level and intended effect of this bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have discussed with Chairman Lumsden and Mr. Bowen, and we are neutral on this bill. We recognize the issue that's being addressed. You're talking about inventory that was exempt in 2020, and because of the COVID situation, some of that inventory has been stuck in inventory beyond the normal year of Freeport exemption. So we don't expect this to have a significant impact on county governments, and we appreciate their soliciting our input. And again, we are neutral on this particular bill. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsey. Chairman.
I was just going to ask, I know we've had a white paper that kind of discusses some of the issues that have been brought up. Chairman, can you speak to any of those?
Well, I do have the white paper here. I know that we had passed that along to you. The white paper itself.
I think the big question we want to make sure we overcome here is that, there's a back date of January 1, 2021. And there's some reasons for that and some explanations for it. And I know I've spoken with, you and Mr. Bowen and others regarding that issue. So maybe I'll just
Well-
maybe get some clarification for the members of the committee.
Well, I have checked with the governor's office and had them to look at this. And as per a conversation I think we had with you previously, there's another bill that was that the governor had last time relative to PPEs, I believe, and a similar approach was used to deal with that last year. So there is precedent for that, but the U.S. Supreme Court's repeatedly upheld retroactive tax legislation against constitutional challenges, as outlined here in the white paper. And from all that I have seen, I feel confident that while anything can be challenged, I think that what we're doing here, we can defend.
Do you want to go ahead and get commentary from the GMA as well as DOR?
Yeah, that'd be good if we could hear what if they have anything to say on it.
Who's here with GMA? Is anybody online?
Yes, sir. Ryan Bowersox, GMA.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry, what's your last
Good
name?
morning. Bowersox.
I said, all right, thank you, Mr. Bowersox. Could you educate us
Yes, absolutely.
on the measure?
I would just echo Mr. Ramsey's statements. GMA is neutral on the issue as well. We understand the reasoning behind it and just appreciate Chairman Lobston and Mr. Bowen coming and discussing it with us. We are neutral and just appreciate the opportunity to speak on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is someone on with the Department of Revenue?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mason Rainey with the Department of Revenue.
Can you share with us the department's perspective on this measure?
Yes, sir. For this measure, it's a local tax issue. The Department of Revenue would be neutral on that. And in terms of the constitutional question, we can certainly check with our general counsel, but I believe generally the department would not weigh in on the constitutionality of it and would probably defer to legislative counsel.
Your own.
Oh, I don't have any.
Well, we're back in the position that I'm sorry. We're back in a position that we've got everybody's neutral on the bill that we leaned into for advice. It is a 1 year. We're bottom line is we're dealing with a COVID related matter that severely disrupted supply chains and businesses throughout Georgia. And in the rare circumstances, as we've been outlined in this case, we're just simply responding like both the federal and state government has in extraordinary ways. So hearing no objections, I think like to hear, I'm not saying, because I hadn't asked for any objections. Do we have any comments from members of the committee? Any thoughts? So, Chairman Martin, you just walked in late. There's been a discussion about retroactive dates, and both the GMA and ACCG are neutral on the measure. The Department of Revenue doesn't weigh in on such matters, and they are neutral on it as well. Got a question from Chairman Blackman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I would we are late as the hour goes nearing crossover, and I think that there's been a good bit of homework on this. And it does have some pretty profound positive impacts on some businesses that have been impacted from an inventory perspective, canceled orders and such. If it's the will of the committee, I think we could see fit that we pass this on to full committee and continue to ask some questions and make sure that we're not doing anything that are outside of our commitment as legislators here in the General Assembly.
I think that's well stated. Again, this has been an unusual 12 months, and it's not without precedent that we're both, again, the federal government and state government is just taking extraordinary steps. Chairman Martin, what's your mic?
The witness too. I'll try to do it with this on to see if it works. I of course, I agree with Chairman Blackman on that. I just think maybe important, if you agree, Mr. Chairman, to express that the legislative intent here is not to open this up, as a way of normal course of business, but to address a specific thing. This may be the way to do it, but as Chairman Blackman, as it goes through, there may be another tool to affect the proper outcome. I guess I want to put on the record that our legislative intent is not to break the Freeport system or to give any other opening to someone that might want to slide under the tent and nose under the tent there to take advantage of this. And this is specifically related to issues that were caused by COVID, and is not the legislative intent to say, this is okay to do in circumstances that were not impacted by that. In case there are people with inventories that, they might could get, use this to game that. And that would just I guess a question and a comment, Mr. Chairman. Isn't that true that we're trying to address and help people that were impacted by COVID, not, open up the proverbial can of worms?
I think that's well stated, and it's clear intent of the General Assembly to respond to a pandemic related
I would simply
disruption in the supply chain.
I would simply point out that manufacturers did not know or anticipate, so they could not have
Absolutely
planned this. This was just COVID related, and as such, they find themselves holding on to inventory for a longer period of time than they otherwise would. And in some cases, the taxation is really beyond what would be the norm.
And it's been my experience in dealing with my local governments. They want to make things work, but they need clarity on how to handle it. And this would give them clarity as to how to address this particular set of circumstances during this particular stage of this pandemic. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any more comments from members of the committee? Questions? Hearing none, what's the will of the committee?
Move to pass.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify. Sorry, somebody interrupt. Casey, Representative Carpenter, did you have a comment?
I was just gonna make a motion.
There you go.
I know. Well, I have my hand up, Coach.
All right. Now.
You can hear your voice coming through his.
I'm sorry. I couldn't. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, all in favor again, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Okay. All right. The measure passes. Thanks for your hard work on it, Chairman Lumsden, and we look forward to. Could please continue to flesh it out and as you bring it on to the full Committee of Ways and Means. And the Ad Valorem Committee is now adjourned.